Who's ready to melt some fat? What you'll need for this project is you're going to need a knife, a cutting board, a stock pot, and a source of low heat. Some people use a crock pot on low. I've never done that, so I can't really speak to it. Okay, you're gonna take your fat and you're gonna cut it up. Now, if you have chunks of meat on your fat, which is pretty common, whether you're using, pork or cow, clean as much meat off as you can. If there's little tiny bits, don't worry about it. You're gonna strain it off later. Now, one thing I will say that I didn't do, a mistake I made the first time that I did this, is I was really lazy when I was cubing up my fat and I didn't try to make the chunks similar sizes. And the reason that turns into being kind of problematic is that they'll all melt at different rates, and then the process takes longer. The trick, rendering fat is actually really quite easy. The only trick with it is to not burn the fat. That's probably the hardest part, which is why you want to use a low heat. All right, so here you can see I have my tallow all cubed up, ready to go. Typically what I have done in the past is I have just taken all of this fat, thrown it in here, put it on low on my stove, and let it go and been careful to come and stir it every 20 to 30 minutes. I just set a timer on my phone to go off to remind me. I did see that somebody else, a technique that they had is they throw a cup of water in the bottom of their stock pot to just help keep the fat from sticking to the bottom and burning. I'm going to try that this time and compare and see if it makes a difference or not. And I'll let you know at the end of the video when I'm straining stuff off. So I'm going to get a cup of water. And I'm going to put it in the bottom of my stock pot. Now, if you were using a smaller pot for this, then I would say probably just around a half of a cup. This is quite a bit of fat, as you can see. Okay, so the stock pot has been on the stove for almost 3 hours now, and you can see how the fat has started to melt down. I actually ended up having to come back and turn the heat up a bit. I turned it from like there down to there. I think it's because I used the water in the bottom, and so it took a little longer for the water to heat up enough. So, all you really do is just check on it and stir it around. Okay, so checking on the tallow again. It's been a couple more hours, and as you can see, it's broken down a lot more. Still got a ways to go, but we're definitely making progress. I've kept the heat right where it's at, just a little bit over low. Doing good. Okay, so my tallow is close to being done. There's still some pieces in there, but I've let it go for a little while, and I could probably let it go another hour or so, but I am getting ready to go to bed, so I'm gonna call that good. It's mostly dissolved. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take the contents of the stock pot. I have my colander lined with cheesecloth. And then I have just a big mixing bowl. So I'm going to pour the tallow through the colander and into the mixing bowl, and then from there I'll pour it into, this is just a 13 by 9 inch pan that I have lined with some parchment paper. You don't have to do that, I just do it because it makes it easier to pop the blocks out when they're all finished. Okay, so the tallow has set up overnight. I just left it on the counter, and you can see that it went from kind of that golden color to this white, and that's what happens. And then if I compare it over here to the stuff that I strained off, these are little bits that were on my stove, these little white pieces, but that's the stuff we strained off. So I'm just gonna throw this away, I think. I don't think I'm gonna do anything with it. So I'm sure that there are people that will come up with different things that you can do, but I'm not going to do that today. And then I have this big thing of saran wrap, but you could use any size of saran wrap, and I wrap it up and put it in little bricks and store it in my pantry. And these are about the size of like a pound of butter. Okay, so here's our finished product. This is the amount that I got, which is a pretty good amount. That will definitely last us at least 6 months or more. I had forgotten how much rendering fat will make the house smell. The whole process of cutting up the fat to straining it and putting it in the pan to set up probably took about 12 hours, and by the end our whole house smelled really strong, like beef fat. So just a quick note there, if you have windows, open them up. If you have an overhead fan, you might want to turn it on. It's not a huge deal, just a minor annoyance. I think I will use the water method again. This tallow has turned out to be quite a bit softer than the tallow that I got last time out of my last batch. Last time it was a little bit more brittle and it would have been hard to spoon out of a jar. This stuff I could have definitely poured in jars and it would be fine to spoon. It's not quite as soft as coconut oil, but it's definitely, like you can see here, kind of squishable. So anyway, I am definitely loving that. If you are going to use the water method, just turn your heat up just a little bit initially till that water kind of warms up and the tallow gets going, and then you can babysit it and turn your heat back down if you feel the need. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.